Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name is Granville.
My name is John T.
My name is Andy.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because we're 2 games into Game Week 16. This show is going to look back at Game Week 15 whilst looking forward to Game Week 17. We've done this once or twice before, but it all feels a bit odd. And Granville even forgot those matches on. That's how odd it is. Is that right, Granville? How did that really happen?
It did. I thought the games were on tomorrow. Well, there are games on tomorrow. I thought the game week started tomorrow. There you go. And that's why I put casual at the bottom.
Absolutely.
Rubbish.
Schoolboy error.
So
Granville.
The thing is, it might actually turn out well because my planning hasn't gone particularly well this season. So, I might as well just leave it to the gods.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And who's your captain? What happened then?
Hazard from last week. Everything is from last week. I haven't made a transfer, obviously. I've got Macaulay on the bench, but he'll probably come on for Van der Horn, who's not playing at the minute. And plus Swansea got a clean sheet, so he'll definitely come on. Let's see. Yeah, so Hazard and Firmino vice captain. So Kane, who I probably would have captained, is uncaptained, and I haven't got another Spurs player, which I was going to do.
See, what are the odds on this working out for you? Yeah, this could go...
I think if it does work out, I think I might try this every week.
Just be a dead team. It works for Sharon.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ship on us, Granville. Why not? Let's do that. John T, it's going to work out for him, isn't it? Are you watch?
It is because I've been monitoring these ghost teams, and
they're most of them beating you, aren't they?
They're my rivals, you see.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Closely, and this is what they're doing. Obviously, absolutely nothing, but you're seeing it each week. So they just leave it on Costa, Ibrahimovic, Hazard, Sanchez every week, captaincy. And they're soaring past me still. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm going to do a bit of that. I'm going to adopt some ghost ship tactics as well, like Granville.
Right, the Scoutcast. Okay, so we're going to do our best to look back at Game Week 15. We're going to talk about our game weeks there, and we're going to talk a little bit about tonight's matches, which are a bit of a non-event, and then look forward as well. We've got Rough with the Smooth. We're going to talk about the Roberto Firmino issue. It is an issue, and this manager has got rid. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Diego Costa, why would we go about him? 2 of us on this Scoutcast don't have him. We're going to talk a lot about that, I'm sure. Is it time to invest in defence? A few of us are doing that too. We're going to put that under the microscope. We're going to look at United. We're going to look at Southampton. We're going to look at Leicester as well and assess their potential. And then look ahead to Game Week 17. Lots to tackle then. We'll start off our game weeks, and we'll start off with you, John, because you did 6 points. Top of the pile. 8-point hit, though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So what happened is I got a few so-called essential players in, like Sanchez and Costa, and Shan rather is my make weight for that, so he didn't play. But it wasn't. Costa did well, and Sanchez got a few points. But it was really my differential. So I've had for a long time or a while, like Sigurdsson.
Chaz Daniels came in, didn't he?
Charlie Daniels. I've had him for ages as well. Christian Benteke again getting in the goals. So that was really good. And I feel I've got, for the first time in ages, I've got a very settled side. I've got 4 or 5 players that I think I can rely on a lot of weeks. And I've gone up 600,000 places in the last 2 game weeks. So a few ghost ships have been defeated, but I've got plenty more to go.
Yeah, don't call it a comeback yet, but you're making progress. Sorry, Granville.
Can I just ask about Benteke? Because you know a few weeks ago, Mark, you were talking about selling Defoe. But I got the feeling that John T was thinking of selling Benteke, or he was, when he missed that penalty. And he had that, a bad run. Were you going to get rid of him that time? I
was tempted. It did cross my mind because he's a tricky price because you've got lots of other strikers who are kind of the 6.5, like at that time Charlie Austin. And you think, well, maybe I could save a bit of money. But the thing I quite liked about Benteke was not he did miss that penalty, but he is on penalties, and Palace is so attacking as well. And at that time, they had quite good fixtures on the horizon. So I felt he was worth keeping, and it turns out right because it was 4 or 5 matches. He's got quite good returns.
Well, you were looking at his numbers. His numbers are very impressive, but most of them were in the air. But
I had other issues as well. And this is what about the tactics that I'm kind of slightly now adopting. Really, is one of the things that's gone wrong for me this season. I've been too quick to get rid of Hazard, too quick to get rid of Sanchez, and these are very high quality players. And if they're going to blank 3 or 4 game weeks, I'm not going to be too worried. There's that lower tier of like your Walcotts and your Firminos. I'll happily dump them. as well. And then Benteke's in that next tier, which I didn't quite get to. So it was because my team was so bad elsewhere that I ended up keeping Benteke. So
interesting, you put Firmino in that lower tier. I've got rid of Firmino. We're going to talk about him later, and I'm fearful, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Andy, 45 points and an 8-point hit as well. And you and Granville had a Nacho tragedy, so we'll go to Granville in a minute on that. But do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, it was an awful week, really. Nothing went right apart from Sigurdsson. My strike force, my differential, Ibra now, while everyone's got Costa, did nothing. I took a 4-point hit pretty early in the week to catch price rise, and I got rid of Firmino and Walcott, who scored, brought in Sanchez and Chan. And I didn't necessarily want to do it, but the prices were just going to get out of control for me, I think, over the coming weeks. Sanchez is still going up now. And then, obviously, Austin got injured midweek, so that's the kind of the penalty for going early. And, I knew he wasn't going to play that game, and I'd already looked at getting rid, so I thought, I'm just going to do it now. Iheanacho, was a risk, but four okay games and come off for the 60th minute, which is a nightmare. And obviously now, like every other, I'm a bit worried if he's even going to start the next game.
Yeah, he scored that goal in Europe, didn't he? And that really, for me, I was like, oh, maybe I should have gone Iheanacho. It was too late for me. I thought you were onto a good thing there. And Granville's a big supporter of him as well. And he'll get to talk in a minute about him. But I don't know. I think we're being too hasty. I think he could still play tomorrow night. It's obviously this goes out on Thursday, but he may have played and done the business. But the thing is, it's Pep, isn't it? So you just never know.
Yeah, that's the big problem. I mean, I when I got in before we saw the last game, I said I'd be happy with 3 out of 4 starts, and yes, there's a chance that he might not play one. So it's still the same. I have thought about getting rid of him, but the options in that bracket, they just don't. No one else is really tempting me. So it's just a case of there's no one else I really want, so I'm just going to keep him.
It's sparse. It's sparse in that bracket. Austin's injuries hurt us in that respect.
Yeah.
Granville, Iheanacho, what's your view on that? You're going to keep him, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking when I got rid of Aguero, I was thinking, shall I get Costa or shall I get Iheanacho? And then I saw Costa's prices going up, so I got Costa. And I thought I had 2 transfers, so I left the second transfer to later on. Now, I was going to transfer out one of my defenders, but then Austin got injured. And so that completely changed what I was going to do. So Austin getting injured, I knew he'd be out for a while because he's just one of those players that is quite injury prone and he doesn't recover quickly. So I knew I had to get rid of him, and I thought, I'm going to go for Iheanacho. And then I had second thoughts, and it was then I put a post up. I says, shall I go for Origi instead? Because I quite fancied Liverpool against West Ham. I'd already had Firmino. I was going to double up anyway. I was considering doubling up. But I changed it. I thought Origi, and I looked at the fixtures. City's fixtures are slightly better. So I went in Iheanacho. It's not a failure at the minute. I mean, the thing is, Origi, I know Origi has scored, but I think long term for the next 3 or 4 games, I think he's good. I think he's going to get goals. I do.
We're being a bit hasty. I think we're down.
I have a feeling that Nolito will start tomorrow night, but that's not. Iheanacho scores off the bench as well, so I think he's good. Yeah, and good price.
No, but Snodgrass did it for you as well. Nice.
Well, yeah, a bit lucky really because he wasn't
Salco from Snodgrass.
It was. I mean, the thing is, I've been thinking about getting rid of him for the last 2 weeks, and I probably would have got rid of him for Lallana tonight, or I would have done that on Saturday. That was a plan. But yeah, he came up with the goods, and I think I'll probably just keep him for a little while. They've got who they're playing tomorrow. Playing Spurs, aren't they?
Spurs,
but at the weekend, at the weekend they're playing West Ham, and there's every chance he can score in that game. So I might hang on to him.
Now, 50 points for Granville, 52 for me. Nothing really to report from my game week. I mean, Sigurdsson did well for me. It was a pretty average game. Apart from Jonty, who did well with that, with his 66. It was a strange game week. I lost rank again. Went down 20,000 places. I'm in that area that you were in, Jonty, a few seasons back, where you just can't. You're treading water. You can't do anything to boost yourself up, and you're falling down 5,000 to 10,000 places every week, or you're going up 5,000 to 10,000 places. It's stuck in a bit of a rut, which is maybe explains what I've done this week, which we'll talk about later. I've taken a hit and changed formation again, but it's difficult, isn't it, when you get, because everyone's got these same players, and it's very, very difficult to find the differentials. You've got to move quickly, get on them quick, which is what I did with Kane. But then Austin's injury and Aguero's injury has got people on Kane, so it's so different, so difficult.
It's different. It's difficult. The ranking, to get a high ranking these days is really difficult. I mean, I'm just looking at my game week scores, and 10 out of the 16 weeks have been below 1 million. But even with a 1 million game week rank, you can still get green arrows. So it's strange how it's changed, because there's now 4.5 million, I think, players in the game, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think not having Costa, I'm suffering for that, and we're going to talk about that. Let's look at Rufford's move, though, Jonty. Let's talk about the game weeks in our community.
Yeah, so this is going back to game week 15, so we'll cast our minds back there. I'll just keep these brief because it was a little while ago. So we've got Blunderland. He swapped out Zaha and Lukaku. That's about 28 points, I think.
Incredible. I mean, Lukaku, you can see, can't you?
For Kane and Shan. That's 2 points.
Why did he swap out Zaha though? I've got
no idea. That is. I can understand Lukaku. He hadn't done anything for a while. He's quite a hefty price tag. But Zaha, I can understand. That was there.
I guess he needed the money, didn't he?
Well, they had a fantastic fixture, but yeah, I think it was to get Kane in, presumably. So Tizza, triple hit there to get in Cedric, who didn't play, Can, who didn't play, and Ian Acho was hauled off with 1 point. And we got one breaking news. We have a rough for tonight as well. One of our regulars, Trigger Lips, just before today, transferred Ashley Williams. So talk about timing. And
it's logical, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't
Ashley
have seen
Williams gets a goal and bonus points.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, that one as well.
I've got a smooth though.
Go on.
Actually no, I haven't. There was I've neglected to put the person's name on it. So, but there's someone out there who took a double hit to bring in.
I'm sure
Sanchez, Sigurdsson, and Zaha. And so apologies to that person.
Wherever you are, well done for taking a double hit there. Yes. Zaha, very interesting. I put him in the scout squad. Didn't argue enough to get him in the scout pick, so we missed out on that. But the top transfer target this week. Just on fire, isn't he? But he's got those difficult fixtures to come, and he may well be leaving us in January for the Africa Cup of Nations. We'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, to sell him prior to that game week, he exploded, didn't he? I mean, looked an absolute class act. A player I really like. Always argue for him in the picks for the last couple of seasons. So maybe at last he's actually justifying that now. So
I think the Watford game. So Watford away coming up in a couple of fixtures. I think that's when I'll be pushing for Benteke and you can push for Zaha.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, community questions. What are we going to talk about first? Let's talk about Bobby Firmino first, shall we? Because I think that is the big topic that a lot of people are talking about out there. We've got questions on that, have we, Jonty?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, really, people are suddenly, with Coutinho out, people are actually starting to say, is it time to avoid Liverpool? Never thought we'd say that. So Karen 14 is going as far as to say, do we no longer need a Liverpool midfielder? And Jarvish has asked, is it too hasty to ditch Firmino? So many tens of thousands of managers, myself included, I understand Mark as well, and I think Andy has as well. And
I got rid of him last week,
have ditched Firmino. And the reason is he's been pretty awful from a fantasy perspective. I've had a look at some of the stats. So I've got some stats here. I've compared Firmino game weeks 1 to 12, so that's largely with Coutinho, largely playing as a false nine. With Firmino game week 13 to 15, that's Coutinho-less and playing out wide. Well, goal attempts, they're about the same, but the quality of them has dipped. So he's getting half the goal attempts in the box, so he's having to shoot from range. His headed goal attempts are marginally down as well. Shots on target in half, as you would expect, because he's shooting from further out. And as a result, his shooting accuracy, it's halved again. Everything's halved. He's half the player he was.
Yeah, I had a look at this, and basically he's just not getting touches in the box, is he? And I watched the game on Sunday, and he looks tired, he looks fatigued, he looks excluded a lot. And then there's a theory as well that with Coutinho not in the side, somehow the left-hand side of the pitch is being isolated a bit because the ball's not getting out there as much. But it's very, very strange. But something is regressing.
But from out of there, I mean, ordinarily you would think it's not the end of the world. You think, okay, well, he can be more creative. Well, that's gone as well. So he's not. It's just a lump, basically. For fancy terms, Firmino is now a lump. So chances created That's down. He's a quarter of the player he was in terms of creating chances, and as a result, he's not getting those assists and the goals that he was getting.
Andy, you got rid then. So what's your view? I mean, obviously you made that decision. Are you worried about it?
I'm not mad. So I got rid last week for Sanchez. So that's the way I talked myself into it. I was really worried for the West Ham game. But like you said, the stats, with Coutinho out, he's not looked as good, even though Liverpool is still scoring, which is a bit of a worry. But now the West Ham game's out of the way, I feel pretty good about it, to be honest. I just think for the price right now, there's better options. So I got Channing. Obviously, he's not as good, but that was to fund Sanchez. But I just think Ali or Ericsson right now, potentially in a couple of weeks, even Theo Walcott is going to be a better option. So I suppose it's a worry. I don't know, what's his ownership like right now? I've not even checked, actually.
I think it was up to 17, 18.
Yeah, it's still fairly high, but I don't know. I'm just not that worried why Origi's there. Now, from what I didn't see the game, but I did read that Origi didn't play that well. So whether he'll change it, put Firmino back at top, I don't know. But I said that last week. It's a possibility, but it's possibly something we're just clutching at straws and hoping that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm not too worried. I don't think now the West Ham game's that way.
See, I am. I've got rid this week for a hit. I got Ericsson in. I looked at it and thought, well, I want out of Alderweireld was my transfer at the back. I wanted to do it so that I could keep Stones for the one more week to play him this week. So that meant using Holebas out for Alderweireld. I can get Holebas back. It's only a small loss. But I've got Ericsson in for those home games against Hull and Burnley because I just think he will outscore Firmino in those two matches. Firmino's at Middlesbrough and Everton. We saw tonight Everton away is not going to be easy. Borough certainly isn't. Chelsea only managed one goal there and maybe quite fortunate to get the result. It's a tough place to go and score lots of goals. But he could prove us wrong. I mean, I've seen people on the site today, none was saying, it's silly to write him off. And again, it's what Jonty said about we're getting rid of these players too early, perhaps. But this is a season to do that.
I think a lot of people are saying, oh, look at his underlying stats, but they've got it wrong because what they're looking at is they're including stats when Coutinho was there. If you want to see how Firmino is in Liverpool without Coutinho, you need to look at the stats for him without Coutinho. You can't think, his underlying stats are really great because he got those 2 goals when Coutinho was playing. It's just, you can't really do that. But, I mean, you look at the stats. He's hopeless at the moment. That may change, but it's question marks. And for 8 point whatever, you don't want a question mark player. You want a certainty.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was expensive.
I've still got him.
So what's your views on him, Granville? Yeah, I mean, 2 tough fixtures at Borough and Everton, though, surely.
I mean, I kept him because they're playing West Ham. When everyone else getting rid of him a lot of people getting rid of him for Sanchez. I just feel that I need a Liverpool midfielder, leading Liverpool attacker, because I went quite a while not having one when they were really in form, and it really, really hurt me. So now I've got one. They've gone off the boil. But I've had Lallana in and out my side a few times now. I think 2 or 3 times I've had him in transferred him in, and then he's got injured. But he's probably the one to have, if I was going to choose again and have it play my wild card and what did a Liverpool player, I'd probably have him.
I mean, I've had Firmino twice and got rid twice now. So it's a hokey cokey with him.
I think he's get frustrated because he's not returning, he's not consistent. But, I think I just sit on him for a while. The only player that I'm sort of coveting in that price bracket, but he's a bit cheaper, is Sigurdsson, because I don't have him yet.
Yeah,
I know you have him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much essential at the moment with the fixtures that they got and the role that he plays.
So I might be doing that transfer at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Firmino is one of those players, it seems, that he's a bit like, well, it's just in and out, doesn't he? He's inconsistent. We're going to go through these spells of 3 or 4 games, it seems, where he doesn't return more than a couple of assists, maybe, and we have to grin and bear it.
Yeah.
We were willing to do that when Liverpool were looking fantastic and scoring lots of goals. I guess we're just worried about Coutinho. That's not going to happen over the next 2 games because they're quite tough. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But certainly the thing is, there were such good options. There was Payet playing Burnley and Hull, and then there was Ericsson playing Hull and Burnley, and both of those looked like they had merit. For me, Ericsson was the one to go for because he seems to be just on every. He was top of goal attempts and he was second on chances created to Sanchez for the last 4 game weeks. His stats are outstanding. If Spurs are going to win those 2 games, you've got to think they will. He should get something. So I gambled. I don't like it. I don't like having.
Are you talking about Ericsson now?
Yeah,
I'm talking about Sigurdsson. Yeah, it's one of those players that you're never that happy having him in your team because he'll let you down. You'll never ever captain him. Surely not.
Yeah, and he goes off on 70 minutes sometimes.
It's a bit like Silver, I think. Yeah. That kind of player.
The set pieces of him are the key, and I think hopefully that'll work out. But in a couple of game weeks' time, I might look back at Firmino again. Who knows?
What I have noticed about your team, Mark, is that you're doubling and trebling up on teams. You've got you've got a couple of Chelsea, 3 Spurs. Who else are you doubling up on? You've got
Arsenal, 2 Arsenal.
2 Arsenal. So you've really kind of thrown your eggs into one basket as such, you know. I think and 2 Sunderland, of course.
Yeah, well
3 Sunderland. Yeah.
3 Sunderland if you count the keeper. So that's
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I think trebling up on Tottenham when they got Burnley and Hull is fair enough. I'm probably not going to stay like that, but I think Alderweireld over these 2 games should get points, clean sheets, maybe get me a goal. I'm going Alderweireld to Azpilicueta in a couple of weeks. So basically the idea is get Tottenham's 2 home games, then get Chelsea's 2 home games. And because I haven't got Costa, I can double up on Chelsea at the back, which takes us nicely into the next question about investing at the back, Jonty.
Well, that's it. And I think this has become one of the biggest issues of the week. Lots of people are starting to, because Charlie Austin's gone, suddenly people are just not quite sure about a third striker. So they're starting to look at players like Diamandi and Ichibi and think, well, I'll just bench them. And then I've got a bit more money. No Aguero cash as well. So MGPT asks how viable is 4-4-2 as a regular formation. Third striker options are not in good supply. Cheap midfielders are okay. Could invest more in defence work out. And Mufasa and Chris White, amongst others, have been asking about Toby A, your favourite. So he's returning. You've got Chelsea just seeming relentless supply of clean sheets. Probably the only reliable team for clean sheets, really. So you could potentially have 2, maybe 3 $6 million plus defenders there. And KTK Interesta also points out that expensive defenders, especially around Christmas, just tend to be a little less prone to rotation, the centre-backs in particular.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I look at that. And I mean, you look at the Chelsea defence and you think there's hardly any rotation there because he hasn't got options really available. He's got Zuma maybe coming back, but he just hasn't. If Luiz gets suspended, it'd be interesting. I know he's on 4 bookings, and the same with Toby Alderweireld. He's going to play over Christmas. He's not going to get rotated.
I had a little look at, because essentially with Fantasy Premier League, you've got 15 places, you play 11. So who are they? But we obviously all attracted more to attacking midfielders and forwards, but essentially it's just a space that gets points. So I had a look at the top 10 and in what FPL judged to be form. I'm not sure how many games they have, but say recent game weeks. And I had a look at...
It's 30 days, basically.
It's 30 days, is it? So it's all the players priced below 6.4. So over that period. And in the top 10, 5 of them are defenders. And so you've got 4.3 Nathan Ake at Bournemouth. He's averaging, well, he was until today, maybe even more now. He's averaging 6 points a game. So he's averaging more than his price, if you see what I mean. You've got Brunt as well, 4.9. Van Dijk at 5.6. He's averaging 6 as well. Really good supply of points there. Muniesa, well, that was, he's not going to be regular, but 4.2. He's done all right. And then we've got Alonso there, ticking along there, 5 points a game. Not bad, especially if you've gone in for 5.9. He's 6.3 now, still good value. But then, so what you're looking at here is they're competing with the likes of Zaha, who's on 8.8. He is out there. He is the top below 6.4 player. He's averaging 8.8. And then you've got Phillips at 7.5. And then you've got a couple of forwards. You've got Origi at 5.8. So that's below Nathan Ake. Okay, so Origi, everyone thinks, wow, Origi, because he's a bit more exciting because he's a forward. Nathan Ake is much better because he's much cheaper as well. And then you've got Llorente as well. So he's seemingly going to get lots of starts now, 7.3.
Yeah,
so
I'm not sure.
These are the players. So when you're looking at going big at the back, so you're looking at, say, Toby Alderweireld, or you're looking at Alonso, these are 6.3 players. They're going to be, for that price, they've got to be competing. They've got to be better than Zaha and Phillips and Llorente. Yeah. And at the moment, they're just below. But
the point I would raise on that is Zaha and Phillips are in fantastic form.
Yeah.
It's going to. Whereas if you sign Toby Alderweireld, you kind of look at the fixtures and you can almost predict where his points are going to come. You can't do that with Zaha and Phillips. You can't look at them and go, well, in those 5 or 6 weeks, they're going to get me this many points. So with Toby Alderweireld, I've signed him for these 2 games, thinking Hull and Burnley, there's at least one clean sheet there. I'll be surprised if you don't get me 2, to be honest. You can't do that with a midfielder. You can't say, well, there you go, I'm going to make that move and he's going to get me this many points. It's much more random. Yeah. But then the ceiling is higher. So it's a trade-off, isn't it? Like, Toby Alderweireld's not going to get me double figures.
And also, it's a revolving space within our 11 in fantasy.
Yeah, the midfield is. Whereas
which is being filled with Capoue, and then Joe Allen, and then Gundogan. And
we've seen them come and go.
Phillips. And they only really last about a month, tops. And then you move on to the next one. But the trick is if you can get them, so if you move from Capoue to Joe Allen, to Gundogan, to Zaha, to Phillips, it's like playing the lottery though. But if you've got them, then you've got one space in your midfield for around 5 million in price, and you're averaging about 10 points a game. So
but the problem there is
that's like playing the lottery.
Yeah, I've gone for really strong midfield. If you start trying to play that lottery of trying to pick the right budget midfielder, you've always got to have a budget midfielder and play them. And if you get it wrong, then you're weaker. Whereas I think why I've gone 5 across the middle is I look at my midfield and think in any given game week, at least 2 of them are going to get me something for sure, I would have said, based on the names I've got there. Sigurdsson so consistent, Sanchez so consistent, Hazard not as consistent but will deliver. Same for Walcott. And, and I've got Eriksen now who should deliver over there. As soon as you start putting Gundogan in there or Allen in there or Zaha or Phillips for one of those spots, that becomes less reliable for me. And that in the midfield is where it's at right now, because this is why we're talking about the formations. Austin is out there. I don't think there's 3 strikers. There's not more than 4 strikers really you would look at. It's bizarre, but it is. It's Costa, Kane, Defoe and Benteke. And then outside of that, you're looking at, well, maybe Iheanacho, maybe Origi. It's really strange to have
You've forgotten a massive bloke from Manchester.
Yeah,
Ibrahimovic. He's just as consistent.
My view is that you lose flexibility. You got like 2 cheap. You got Defoe is just between cheap and mid-priced, and you've got Anichebe, who's obviously a cheapie. Now, if something happens, say, I don't know, just say Nacho scores a couple of goals in his next game and you want him, you can't get it. I mean, you might be able to get him for Defoe, but say it's, think of someone else, say it's Costa. There you go, a player that you haven't got. If he scores a couple of goals next game, you're going to want to get him. You're going to have to spend 4 points.
No, I won't. No, we'll talk about him later on. I've got to. Least, it was a strange choice.
How will you do it? How would you do it? Because
how would I do it?
Right, you said that about Sanchez 2 weeks ago. You says, I've got Walcott now. I think he can cover most of his points. This is what I said as well.
I never said I'd never get Sanchez.
No, you didn't say that. But he says at the minute you're happy with Walcott because he's covering most of his points. He might not be able to cover all Sanchez points, but he's a good, he's good value. So at the minute I'm sitting on him. He gets a hat trick, then immediately need you to get in Sanchez, which is fair enough. I think he's, obviously and he scored tonight as well, and he's a good player. It's just that you can say something 1 week, and then next week you completely change it, and that can happen.
That is the nature of this season, though, isn't it? I don't think we're able
of any season.
No, I don't think it is any season. Not last season. Last season it was like.
Yeah, it was stick.
We've got Mahrez, we've got Vardy, and we've got Ali. So we've got so much money that no one really cares. You can just do what you like. This season it's much harder because you've got to move with the form a lot quicker, I think, because of the prices as well. I think.
The same happened with Hazard as well. I think when he scored that, I think a goal and assist. It's Everton, and it was straight away, and everyone got him that week, and I also got him that week as well. In fact, it cost me because I played a wild card and sold Costa, who was since outscored him. So it might, when you've got a big player, big hitter like Costa, and he scores a brace in a game, you're going to be thinking very hard about getting it.
Well, he's only done that once. I think he's done that once all season so far.
Everything is consistent. Go on, Andy.
I was actually going to agree with you about structure. I think Mark's team, you've actually got quite a lot of value in your team. So your structure's quite good. You've got Toby and Alonso, and you've still got a good midfield and a good attack. So you can switch with just 2 moves. But I look at mine, and I looked about getting Toby and having Alonso, but that would then trap me with Andy Carroll and Chan with no money to upgrade. So structure-wise, it does depend on your particular team. And I think 4 at the back could work when there's no third striker that's really doing it right now. But for your own particular team, you've got to double check that you can easily move. Because right now, I'm already quite cautious that my structure is getting out of control. And if I want Aguero back or something in a few weeks, I'm going to have to start thinking about that already and how to reshuffle the money. So forward and back, it's a good idea. It just depends how many transfers, I suppose, and how much money you need to shuffle between all that.
And I think if you're going forward back, it's only really, I only look at the Chelsea and Spurs defence as two that I could rely on. I think the others, like Southampton, is not bad. Arsenal, just been awful. I think it's 1 clean sheet in 9 now. And Liverpool, we can't write out. City, can't count them. United is a possibility. Phil Jones could be a great option, but you just don't know. I don't know for sure that Jones is going to keep his place with Bailly there, and he's going away at Akon, so it might be that. It's difficult. I mean, Jonty, your views on this? Are you thinking of going forward back?
No, because I just find defenders a bit boring. It's because you're after clean sheets, and so you're waiting for that point to come at the end, and it's like, oh, has there been, like I was doing it with Charlie Daniels tonight. You know, I'm waiting for nothing to happen, and then I'm cheering when nothing happens at 90 minutes.
I thought that'd be right up your street, but not the new Jonty.
No, it's quite. I mean, no, but it's much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, you're right.
Waiting for that clean sheet than it is. So it's actually more dull than to wait for a better player who can score. So Charlie Daniels will get the odd goal, but he's not going to get any 10 goals in the season. But yeah, so I don't like. I like 3-4-3. That's why I've got Christian Benteke. If I'm going to move anyone on, it would be Benteke, but I'm holding off. And sometimes I'm thinking at the moment, because I've been through a lot this season in terms of how my team is, and it's made me think a lot about things. And sometimes I think, what would Villaronca do? And those who don't know who Villaronca is, he's someone who's always at the top of our Hall of Fame, and he's a very patient manager. And he just sticks by them. And he's had Benteke all this time, and he had Sanchez all that time. He didn't think, oh, I'll get rid of him. Oh, he's got a hat-trick, I'll get him back in. Just kept him all that time. And so he's got all of those players in, doesn't move them out. So I think if I genuinely trust a player, like I do, say, for example, Hazard and Sanchez, and I can live with 3 or 4 game weeks of nothing, but I know that they could get me 20 points on their own in a week. I'm going to stick with them, I think. And for me, that 3-4-3 structure does that. And I think there is options around in the 4th midfield spot as well that are quite cheap. I'd like to go a bit more, so I'm going to be looking to free up some more money at the back, but not personally for me.
I'm noticing the top 100, 25 are now playing 5 across the middle, 3-5-2. It's definitely a growing movement.
3-5-2, I can completely understand, definitely, but 4-4-2 for me.
4-5-1.
Yeah, well, I'm 4-5-1 this week. Yeah, I'm
4-5-1. No,
it's crazy.
I don't think I've ever played 4-5-1.
Not intentionally.
Well, maybe when I've had injuries and I didn't want to spend the points, it might have happened once or twice. Just tell us your logic about playing Stones ahead of Defoe.
Well, because I look at it and think I don't think Sunderland can score against Chelsea. Simple as that. I think that Sunderland were poor at Swansea. I think Anachibi might have a knock. We don't know for sure, but Moyes has said today, I've got a few problems. I'm not going to talk about the players involved. That indicates to me it's probably some key players. I think Anachibi is probably that player. He did get a knock. We know he did. He didn't go off low, so it was never acknowledged as an injury. But I worry about that. And also, 7 clean sheets in 9. Why do we think Sunderland can score against Chelsea? I don't think they can. I think Chelsea will keep a clean sheet.
Look at it the other way.
Why would I play Defoe?
Look at it the other way. Why you're playing Stones? City have had 1 clean sheet in 17 games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just think
now he doesn't offer any attacking threat at all.
No, I know, but
I think. I mean, I didn't look recently, but I don't think he does.
I looked at it though, and I looked at the bookies' odds, and I looked at what do they favour? They favour a Defoe goal or a Man City clean sheet. They favour a Man City clean sheet by a clear point. I looked at it and thought, do something different. I'm going to keep Stones for 1 more week. Let's play him at home to Watford. For me, I think there's a good chance they'll keep it because they lost 4-2 at Leicester, right? For me, I think Pep's under pressure. He's going to have to react to that. He can't afford more calamitous errors, and he'll win that game 1-0. I expect. I think it'll be a 1 or 2-0 and a clean sheet.
You can't second guess Pep.
Yeah,
no, you do this quite often. You try to think, as one of the managers. don't bother. I mean, he's not.
No, but he's under pressure, isn't he? Right? He's under pressure. This game, he's under the mic.
He's not under pressure. Have you seen him? He's so laid back.
I think the media have got him under pressure. Today, they interviewed him. After losing 4-2, there's pundits out there saying he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean,
he doesn't read papers.
Well,
he's got his own mind. You know why?
He's got
why
people who do that for him, hasn't he? Basically, but I think he's approaching he's going to approach this game slightly differently. He's come out and said we're not going to change the way you play, but we've got to cut out the errors, and that is true. They're making a lot of errors.
Well, if they cut out the errors, then won't play Stones then, and they want to cut out the errors.
He may not even play. It's a gamble on my part, but I look at it and think, well, if I don't think Sunderland are going to score, if I think Chelsea are going to keep a clean sheet, why would I play my Sunderland striker? It could massively backfire, but we always have that issue. When we've got a defender and a striker playing against each other, we think, don't really like. I've got it with McCauley and Sigurdsson, but I always think McCauley's got a goal in him, so I don't mind doing that.
You just never know. You never know. I mean, Chelsea could be winning 4-0 and then they take off some of the players and they relax a bit, and then Defoe scores a penalty.
Well, they haven't done that in 7 out of 9 games, so they could have done it in any of those and they didn't. So I just don't think that's their start. This is an exception.
Fair enough, but I can understand the logic.
Completely different to any. I would never ever do it with any other team. But when you're looking at a team that is so robust and they're up against a Sunderland team which were awful at Swansea, they could turn it around. Defoe can get a goal out of nothing, but they're missing Watmore. They've only had one game without him and they lost 3-0. I think Watmore's quite a big loss. It's interrupted their flow, the momentum that they had. I've got logic behind it. It could backfire, but I don't think Defoe's going to get a hat-trick. If it backfires, it's going to backfire to me maybe to the tune of 6 points. Okay, I'm not going to like that, but it's not going to be disastrous, I don't think. I can't see Defoe getting 2-3 goals against Chelsea. He may do. This may go out on Thursday night and make me look an idiot, but I just think it was worth the gamble. Because if Stones plays and City keep a clean sheet, he may even get bonus. We could be talking an upside of 6-7 points. So we'll see, won't we? We'll have to see.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. And also, I'm just like, well, do something different. It's like I said, I just think it's very difficult where I am at the moment to make any impression. And I think everyone's going to captain Kane. I've got a very similar midfield. I might have one more midfielder than others because I'm playing 5, but I thought I'd mix it up a bit and see how it goes. I know Doug's doing that. I looked at his team, but the rest of us around us in the Mods and Cons League, very similar teams. So it's tricky. Andy, your views on my bizarre formation?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm playing Alonso and I think he'll get a clean sheet. But at the same time, I don't think Stones is going to get a clean sheet. So I'd always favour the attacker, I think, in that situation. And last season, I tried a couple of times to go for the maximum points. So if my attacker was playing defender or whatever, I'd bench one or the other, and it always backfired. So I'll always favour the attacker. But I agree, it's not looking likely that Sunderland are going to score.
Yeah, I mean, I would normally, but not with Chelsea. That's the only team I would probably do it.
Did you remove Holebas?
Yeah.
Now, I personally, I don't know whether you could afford it, but I would personally have removed Stones because his price is only going to go one way, and he's clearly rubbish. And I've kept Holebas because Man City are conceding, and he's on those set pieces. And I've got Holebas on my bench, and I'm actually quite nervous about benching Holebas. I think he's going to concede. Well, in fact, I'm almost certain Watford will concede. But I think he could get an assist or two.
Might do if you see Watford scoring, but we're not.
Yeah, I do. Man City are absolutely hopeless.
They are, mate. They've conceded a lot of goals.
Pep Guardiola, this is why everyone's taking the mickey out of him, because he's going, what's tackling? Well, it's that thing you have to do, otherwise you keep losing the games, like at Leicester. That's the kind of thing you have to do in the Premier League.
I feel like we're goading Mark into saying, hang on a second, who's the highest rank here? And then he's going,
then I want you to say, I've got so many more points than us.
Yeah, so we keep going.
It's not that. I do think it's mad banking on the Man City clean sheet, but equally, if I don't think Sunderland are going to score, what that's stupid as well, isn't it? I'm that confident in Chelsea winning that game 1 or 2-0. So why would I play Defoe over a defender who might just keep a clean sheet at home to Watford?
I'm not so bothered about it.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Stones won't play. Defoe will score a brace, and Granville will be.
I'll get him off the bench.
I'm not so bothered about the Defoe. It's more that why keep Stones, because he's a money.
He's going next week for sure.
He's a money pit.
I looked at it and thought. The reason why is I thought Walcott wouldn't play tonight, and I needed to have a sub who was going to come on and do me something. So that's why I thought I'll play Stones, I'll have Defoe first sub, and if Walcott doesn't turn up, I've got Defoe coming off the bench. So I got rid of Holebas because I wanted a first sub that was fairly decent. And so that's why I did it. Otherwise, I just...
That is strange. You're talking yourself out of it. I mean, like...
No, not. No, that was the logic. I thought Walcott would get rested tonight. I really did.
I've just seen Holebas get a couple of assists, and that's what he does.
He might do.
But Stones can't do
his
anything.
first assist since game week 2, I think, like the weekend. He's not like he's prolific. He's got 3 assists. 2 of them came at the weekend.
4.5 when most of us got him.
No, I'm not getting rid of Holebas forever. I just felt that...
Gaining you to get Holebas back in for a hit next week.
I will do. I'm not going to get him back yet. But he may come back in.
I'm going to captain Holebas next week. I love him so much.
Nonsense.
I think you're right, though. I have a feeling that Stones won't play.
No, he might not.
So none of this will matter unless he comes on, for a cameo at the end. But you just don't know what Pep's going to do. He could, he could start the game without a keeper. Who knows? Who knows with it? He's experimenting so many.
I would say he started the last 11, 12 game weeks without a keeper. But there we go. Let's move on, shall we? Let's look at Liverpool. Is it time to avoid before we've done that? Time to avoid Southampton. Let's talk Southampton, shall we?
Yeah, well, that's it. Anished 28. So where will the goals come from? Now Austin is out. Well, they probably won't. There's a few options. So I had a look at minutes per goal attempt in the box. This is all season. So this is quite good because we know Austin's been playing there. So players like Rodriguez, Shane Long, Buffel, they've been coming in and out of the side. So it's unfair to compare them like for like. But minutes per goal attempts, this is how often they're actually getting. Rodriguez is putting in the best stats, really.
That one start.
Yeah, that one start is that indication. It's pretty low base, so you don't really know with him. Shane Long, he's nowhere near Austin, so you might get some stuff out of him. Ward-Prowse, and then you've got Redmond's not doing it as well. Buffel, we just don't know. I mean, his stats are not great.
It's 3 goals in 6 game weeks. That's the lowest in the last 6 game weeks. Yeah. It's just an absolute shocker.
I just don't think... I think they're going to get the odd goal, as we've seen, and they could win 1-0. But I wouldn't be looking at any Southampton assets and thinking, great, I'm going to get a brace out of...
Well, the thing as well, we look at Cedric and go, well, he's got that assist potential. Well, he hasn't because they can't score any goals. No. I mean, I still want Cedric. I still think he's going to be a good option. But yeah,
in defence, I think they're good.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about Cedric at all. He's such a yellow card magnet as well. And he's rotatable.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I know he could get rested in the odd game. It's only because he played Europa League, I think he was rested. But over Christmas, he could miss one. I'm not totally convinced yet. He was in my plans that he was going to come in by now, but I'm pretty glad he didn't, to be honest. But then they've kept 3 clean sheets in 4. It's Van Dijk, I guess, if you can afford it, but I don't think I'll stretch to that. I think if I end up with 2 Chelsea defenders, I'm going to have to go and get Holebas back maybe and just rotate him and Macaulay. But I don't know. Southampton are a funny side. I mean, I think they're going to be okay, but it is worrying. There's no attacking potential at all. And Buffon is an interesting player, and maybe he can pep them up. But I think they're going to have to buy in January, no doubt about it. And Austin is a big loss for everyone, Southampton and Fancy Manager as well. Okay, next question. Let's look at Manchester United. This is more interesting, isn't it? Manchester United.
Yeah, well, this is part of a group of questions about why avoid ... And why avoid Manchester United? I mean, a perfect example was earlier, Mark, when you were talking about all the different strikers. And you didn't even mention Ibrahimovic, one of the best strikers this season. He had that patch where he wasn't scoring, and he is a very expensive. But nevertheless, Team Cruel asks, is Ibrahimovic essential with those fixtures? And I'll come to that in a second. Mark Harbrow and I believe Andy are Phil Jones fans. Is he of interest to us? And Musicolic and Godfarm asked, which is the best Man U midfielder? Well, probably none of them, actually. But having a look at their stats and having a look at their fixtures as well. I mean, they've got absolutely fantastic fixtures coming up. They've got all sorts. They've got Crystal Palace away. They've got West Brom away. Sunderland at home. Middlesbrough at home. Wow, brilliant. That's good for Jones fans there. And then West Ham away. I mean, that's taking you right away up to Christmas into the new year. You've got a sea of blue, easy fixtures. So, why not? I mean, I'm looking at that and thinking, why am I ignoring? One of the reasons is they don't have a good midfielder that you would invest in. Ibrahimovic is too expensive.
Not yet.
And I think he's going to rotate in defence over that period as well. But nevertheless, I'll go to Andy, because Andy, you've got Jones in. So what's your rationale behind that, and kind of persuade us to perhaps follow suit?
Yeah, I felt like I had to make a transfer this week, and so I bought Jones in for Lovren. I don't think Lovren's going to play, and then going forward, Phil Jones got good fixtures, 4.7. He's playing really well. Like, I know he gets a lot of stick because he's a bit clumsy sometimes. He doesn't always look great when he's playing, but he's a decent player. Mourinho seems to be really happy with him. I know Bailly is back, but for me, it'd be, if anyone's going to drop out, it's going to be Rojo, even though he was quite good in the last game, and then Bailly's going to the African Cup of Nations. So Phil Jones is looking pretty good. The only problem is he is quite injury prone. So if you get him in, there is quite a few games over Christmas. The chance he might be rested for one or two, probably just one, and he may get injured. But I think for 4.7, it's worth a risk. Well, it's the same reason I got Lovren in. He was 4.9 when I got him in. I think he's 5.1 now. He had good fixtures. He was cheap. Jones had good fixtures. He's cheap. You're not really going to get punished for having someone in the side that's 4.7. I don't think it's easy to swap him out.
It's funny because tonight I was looking at Gabriel. In a couple of weeks, I might look at Gabriel or Jones. Who's he going to be? And I watched tonight, and I think it probably is going to be Jones because a Marino team just doesn't give up the chances that Arsenal gave up tonight. And he's playing well. He's playing well. And when Bailly's off in January, he's got to play all through that month, surely. So there'll be a little bit of rotation, maybe. But I think Jones is a great option. Granville, your views on him?
Yes, the injuries puts me off, and. The thing is, I think Rojo, because Rojo's left-footed, he might be the preferred option. I don't know. I mean, he's not done badly at centre back. I don't rate him that highly, but he's not done badly at centre back actually. Maybe a bit harsh to take him out when they've got they've actually defended okay the last few weeks. Phil Jones, is he going to offer you any attacking threat? Not really. How much is he? 4.7.
Yeah, and that's the appeal. For those fixtures, I think that's good. I mean, it's short term. I think that is his appeal. Yeah, I think it's actually quite a good price, and I might have a look at it myself. But you look at that.
It's just
Sunderland at home, Middlesbrough at home. That's the two to get him in. I'm possibly looking at that period there to get him in for a couple of fixtures. So
regarding the rest of the team, Ibrahimovic, obviously, I think Mata could be an option. If you can have any of the midfielders, I think he would be the one. He does get rotated, I know, but when he does play, he's full of points. I think they're under the radar actually, but I don't. I think probably United have got more of a settled side now than they have, since the start of the season. So he probably won't start.
The funny thing is, actually,
probably doesn't look like he's going to get goals. I don't know.
No.
In fact, United just don't convert the chances.
That's it. This is my point. I don't think they've got matches where they're going to win 3-4-0 in them, and I don't think that's Mourinho's way. I think he wants to win matches 1 or 2-0, and he'll do that, and they'll have a good run. I think they'll win a lot of those games over Christmas. But how many goals does Lassane get? Don't know. Is he not going to get 11.2 million's worth of goals? I don't think that's the problem. You've all got rid of Valencia, haven't you? Because you had him all. You had him at the start. You had him at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It's gone. Yeah.
There's just lack of clean sheets for that price. It was a difficult price, and there were so many better clean sheet prospects that were cheaper at that time.
Yeah. I mean, I just think United are destined to not provide us with steady resources over this season at all. It's very odd, but they've just not clicked for a sustained period and said, here's the asset you need to have. Zlatan for a little while, and then he went off the boil. I'm not convinced he's come back to a level which displaces Costa and Kane. I still don't think he's going to get in our team. So it's just a strange season for United in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, the midfielder we'd all be talking about right now if he hadn't got injured would be Mkhitaryan. I think a lot of people will be looking at Firmino to Mkhitaryan if he hadn't got injured. It doesn't look like he's going to be out for that long. So I think it depends when he's back, because the real good fixtures are Boxing Day and the one after, I think, or the one just before. But he's the one that I think people are going to be looking at. And actually, funnily enough, because he's got injured, it might actually mean Mata plays the next couple. Yeah, I think right now I wouldn't be looking at midfielder, but in a couple of weeks I'm looking at Mkhitaryan. At that point, I could have triple United, but I don't think I'd actually be recommending that to anyone else.
Oh dear! United fan.
Yeah, well, the thing with Ibra is he scored 4 in 5, so he's been doing all right for me. He's been matching Costa in a couple of games, and at this point, Costa's about the same price. So what's the point in swapping when I'm already far behind?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, there isn't. There isn't.
And Ibra's going to be my captain, Sunderland and Borough at home. So yeah, he's there for me. But like I've had him for the last few weeks. I've never recommended him to someone, just for myself, really.
John T. United?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. It's question marks over all of them. But I do like their clean sheet prospects. And I wish Ibrahimovic was cheaper. I think for me, it's Ibrahimovic or no one if you want goals.
No,
and it's just too expensive. I've got Kane and Costa. There's no way they're going for him.
Okay, another time to avoid. Let's do the Costa thing, shall we? Because this is going to address myself and Andy. Over to you, John T, with a question.
Well, yeah, Tokyo Rising Sun asks essentially why avoid Costa. But he was saying, should we be better off just leaving the armband on Diego Costa every week? Well, he's been so consistent. There's only 2 times you wouldn't have got any attacking returns. Sure, he hasn't got any 20-point plus returns, but yeah, they're pretty consistent. And I was talking about my Go Ship friends earlier. I'm looking at their teams. That's what they've done. That's why they're sailing past me.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, you look at it and think, well, if Aguero was returning the goal again, we'd be like, well, I can't take the armband off him. And Costa's doing exactly that, and we're not looking at him necessarily. A large proportion are, but I think our heads are being turned by Sanchez and Hazard's big returns. You know, the fact that Ericsson popped up 18 points a couple of weeks ago as well. I mean, there's just options, isn't there, in midfield that are turning their heads, and we're going for the big scores, when actually perhaps the sensible thing to do is go with Costa. I can't do that. I don't have him. But I might just stick it on Kane every week, who I think is capable of doing the same kind of thing. Because I think he's got the potential to keep pace with Costa. He's done it so far, and I think he'll carry on doing it. So I'm hoping that's the case. But I don't know if I want to do that every week, because I think a midfielder will always turn our heads. That's the problem with it.
I know that Kane's got a couple of good fixtures coming up, but I did worry, actually, when I saw him against United. You see how deep he was playing. He was playing in midfield quite, for quite a lot of that game. I know they were under pressure a lot, but why isn't he sitting in the box or near the box?
I think Manchester United. When the big teams play Manchester United, Mourinho sets them up in such a way that it forces them to do things they ordinarily wouldn't. I think, and West Brom were trying that as well with Chelsea, but Chelsea got through them. I think it was only really Man City who've really got the better of Mourinho using those tactics.
Same thing happened with Arsenal, Sanchez.
Yeah,
exactly. Sanchez was barely up front. I think he had 3 touches in the box.
That's where Mourinho really shows his value there, because he knows how to stop the big sides. I mean, looking at the stats, it's fairly obvious when you look at goals that Costa is right up there. But when you look at the underlying stats, he's right up there with Aguero and Ibrahimovic. And Kane isn't really quite there. But he could be, and I think Kane in the easy fixtures is good. But if the pair of Kane and Costa, if I happen to want to get rid of one for Aguero, then it would be Kane for the chop, not Costa. There's no way Costa can go on his current form.
No, you can't.
Play of the season for me.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And then the issue I've got, when I made the choice, I had to choose whether I get Sanchez back. When Aguero got suspended, it was, okay, do I get Sanchez back or do I get Costa? I had Hazard. Costa, the one card thing, didn't really bother me that much, but it played on my mind a bit. And I just thought, and also I'd be paying $1 million more than some people have paid for Costa, whereas I wouldn't be doing that for Sanchez. I'd be paying 0.2 more. And the upside of Sanchez was every goal is worth more points. He's got the same number of goals as Costa. So that was a decision made. I couldn't get both. It's a sacrifice, and Costa's a sacrifice I've made. Might get hurt by it, but then if I'm playing 2 up front, I'm hoping that isn't the case, but we'll have to see. But the captaincy, that is where it's hurting me. So if I don't get that right, then I'm losing all the time, and people who are captain Costa are getting away from me.
I know. I mean, his ownership as well is huge. He's the most popular player in the game, and he's going to get captain. So his ownership somewhere around the 50% mark. So if he's captain by, say, half of them, and he scores a brace, and your captain doesn't, big red arrow time. But if you've got him and you don't captain him, you've mitigated.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see the risk, but then I looked at him and went, well, Defoe's done all right. He's not, and he's good value. And Harry Kane, I think, is the striker I want. So I couldn't afford him. So if I didn't have Sanchez, I could afford him. But then he's got me a goal tonight. So Costa's got to get 2 goals to outscore him. He's a striker. Sanchez is a midfielder. So It's difficult. But having said that, Costa is getting bonus this year. We didn't really foresee that, did we, at the start of the season?
He's creating the chances as well.
He's a different player.
For me, Costa does something that he hasn't done before. He passes the eye test. When you watch a game, he is so threatening, and he's appearing down the flanks. He's appearing in the middle. He's being the old Costa, being annoying in the penalty area. He's doing all sorts of other things that he never did before, and that's why he's getting bonus points as well. It's a different player. I mean, I think I kick myself. I had him early in the season, got rid of him. I've got him back in. Unless he goes through some kind of huge drought of 2 months of looking awful, like Firmino has, then I'll ditch. But other than that,
I think you're talking a bit. I think it's a bit shorter though, because come January the 2nd, I think it is, when Aguero comes back for the Burnley game. People are going to want it to get him, Aguero. So then who do you sacrifice?
Well, for me,
the easiest way, it's Kane, but you'd have to sacrifice someone in your midfield to pay for the difference, because you need to make up 3 million.
If we want Aguero back, and we've talked about that, and it's not necessarily cut and dry that we do.
Well, it's just under. It'll be just under a couple of a million, because Aguero will go down a little bit more, and Kane will go up a bit more. But I don't know. It's gonna. Yes, it's tricky. I'm trying not to think about it, to be honest, because it's quite worrying going without Aguero, and I don't have to worry about it for a few game weeks.
It might ruin your concern. Yeah, at least you got your Christmas and New Year to Aguero free and nothing to worry about.
It's quite nice not having him to worry about.
It is. I'll worry about him next year.
I haven't got to watch those games.
I'm kind of looking forward. I'm kind of looking forward to 2017, because 2016 has been awful. Nothing to do with football really, but just the amount of people.
Rubbish year.
Yeah, rubbish. And that amount of things that have happened.
Let's talk about Costa, your point of view on this. I mean, am I doing the right thing by going without him? I haven't really got a choice. I've got to lose someone. How do you feel about it in your team?
No, you're probably doing the wrong thing, because you're so high up. Like, I think I'm not going to work out who you need to get rid of to bring him in for Defoe, but I think you could probably do it in a couple of moves maybe. But yeah, for me, like I said just a minute ago, I have Ibra, and he scored before the last game. It was 12-9-7 with his return, so he wasn't far off Costa anyway. So I'm just hoping over Christmas he can hopefully outscore him, and it's a huge risk, and I'll probably get a red arrow because of it. But I'm so far behind, I feel like I need that differential. And as for captain him, I actually said, someone asked me between Costa and Hazard last week, and I said, well, Costa will score. It just depends whether you want to go for that explosive option or not. And I think some of it is psychological. Like, if Costa scores 7-8-8 in 3 weeks and gets 23 points, and Sanchez only gets 19, but he scores a 15-point haul there, you'll feel really good about hitting him as a captain, whereas you won't. You get the points for Costa, but it won't feel as good. So I think there's just some psychology in it. Like, it doesn't matter that you haven't got as many points. You've nailed that one captain in 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there's just something, at the moment, Sanchez is just exciting because he's done that hat-trick. You think, well, if I put it on him, he could get me 15 to 20 points. Whereas Costa, you think, he's going to get me a goal and maybe 1 or 2 bonus points, 7-8 points. Doesn't feel spectacular, is it? And I think, I'm gonna fall further behind. If he keeps scoring and more people get him and captain him, I probably will fall further and further behind. But at this point, I'm just like, I don't really want to rip the team up, because I like the team that I've got. I like having Sanchez. I like having the 5-man midfield. I want Toby and I want Alonso at the back. My tactic is to double up on Chelsea defence and hope they keep clean sheets and hope that becomes a bit of a method of bridging the gap.
My worry, if I didn't have Costa, would be that he has been getting these consistent returns against tough sides. We know he had a tough run of games, and I include West Brom in that as well. You look at their run coming up, it's absolutely brilliant. So if he's putting in those stats against a really good side defensively, against some of the really atrocious defences up against, my word. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to go without him. Well, don't mean to worry you too much, but
no, I just it's sacrifice though, isn't it? It's like I've got almost every big hitter there apart from Costa, and it's like we've said before, you can't get them all without ripping your team apart and then having a 4.5 defence. I don't really want a 4.5.
I've ripped my team apart a while ago to get Sanchez in, and it backfired. So I'm not going to. Yeah, I agree with your logic there. Definitely, I wouldn't do that. But no, he does scare me at the moment because of the fixtures and the form. It's like almost a perfect storm.
Strangely, it doesn't scare me as that. Like when Sanchez did what he did against West Ham, it was like, well, I can't go through a game week now without, like tonight, watching him. I felt so much more secure having him in my team. Whereas when Costa plays, I go, yeah, he'll probably score, but then Hazard might get the assist and Alonso might get the clean sheet. And if I've got 2 Chelsea defenders, that's 2 clean sheets. So he doesn't scare me as much as Sanchez was scaring me, if that makes sense, or even Hazard. I don't know what it is. Why I feel like that. Perhaps I should be petrified of him, but I'm not. I just feel like he's a pain. He's going to lose me ground, but I'm hoping I can make it up elsewhere. But I just think that's my opinion at the moment. I'll probably show the minute he gets his first hat-trick, it will change, but he hasn't done it yet, has he? So we'll see. They leave that to Jamie Vardy at the moment. Let's do the weekend preview, shall we go, Jonty?
Yeah, we're looking at fancy island risks, clean sheets, transfer plans, and obviously our captains as well. This is for game week 17. By the way, just in case we'll get confused.
We'll go to Granville first. Let's start off with the clean sheets.
I think the clean sheet is going to come from. I think United will get a clean sheet away to West Brom.
You say the clean sheet like there's only going to be one. You're probably right based on the current situation. Yeah, United at West Brom. Yeah, possibly. West Brom in good form, though.
They're in good form. I think United, as you say, Marino has to. To play for the 1-0, and I think that's what the score's going to be. I can't really be confident of anyone. Looking at all the home teams, and Spurs at home to Burnley probably, but Spurs have actually they haven't let in that many goals, but they haven't kept that many clean sheets. If you have a look, early in the season they kept a few.
Yeah,
but recently they've really struggled.
I looked at it, and when Toby Alderweireld was playing, they conceded 1 goal at home in 4 matches. So
yeah,
I think it makes such a difference, and I think they will. I'd be surprised if they didn't keep 2 clean sheets against Hull and Burnley, but we'll see. Okay, Andy, your clean sheet?
Yeah, I'm going to go for one that's maybe a slight risk. But I think we may have overlooked these fixtures when we were looking at Sigurdsson, but I think Middlesbrough might get a clean sheet against Swansea. And I think actually this game this week against West Brom could also be another blank. So, yeah, Middlesbrough for me against Swansea.
Yeah, they're so strong at home, aren't they? And they're just not. They're like Southampton, not scoring goals. They're getting points by grinding out wins.
Yeah,
tight at the back. So I think that's a good option. John T, your clean sheet?
No one's mentioned Bournemouth yet.
No, you're going Bournemouth, are you? Love your Charlie Daniels.
I'm backing him again. Well, why? Because
against
South Coast Derby, Dorset v Hampshire. Doesn't get more exciting than that in football. And Southampton, we discussed earlier.
They can't score, yeah. So there's Chelsea and Spurs. I mean, one of those two, I think. West Ham, Hull, possibly. I mean, on paper, there could be quite a few clean sheets out of this lot. I've got to go Spurs. I think that's a given at home to Burnley. I just don't see where the goal threat is going to come unless they concede from a set piece. So I'll go with that. But I equally think that Sunderland, Watford even. I mean, there could be quite a few there. For once, we could have some defensive returns there. Let's do fancy on and risks. Let's go to Granville again first for that.
I can't remember who did I pick. I mentioned it earlier too.
Yeah,
Nolito, yes. Because I think even when he comes on, he always looks a threat. He could have scored a couple actually at the weekend.
Do you think he's going to play against Arsenal? I just don't see it though. That's the thing.
I only because I'm quite pessimistic now about having Nacho, and I think they'll be hedging my bets a little bit.
The thing is, if he plays and does well against Watford, you could be onto something there. Yeah,
he's scored a few goals this season, and he's been quite a threat. So he's just been in and out of the team.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I should have gone John Stones for the clean sheet. Really, never mind. I missed that opportunity. Andy, your fancy on a risk?
I'm going to go for Fisher, Middlesbrough. Second for shots inside the box last couple of weeks, only behind Walcott, has created a few chances as well. So I think Middlesbrough have got Swansea, like I said just a minute ago, could maybe get 1 or 2 goals there. Fisher will be a part of it.
Yeah, he's doing all right. It looks like he's holding down his place now. Ramirez is out in midweek, but he should be back at the weekend. But Fisher played with Ramirez in the last one, so he was a big expectation.
Yeah, before the start of the season.
Yeah, pre-season we were looking at him, weren't we? But hasn't really happened. But he may be getting a run now. No, fair enough. And Jonty?
Well, I think the standout ones for differentials are basically anyone who plays Burnley and Hull, really. So I'll be looking at a Spurs or a West Ham player. So I'm going to go with Lanzini against Hull. I think he's on penalties, I believe, when Mark Noble's not around. So Mark Noble, if he leaves the pitch, and I just think anyone could score against Hull, and I think he's got something about him.
Yeah, I'm going to go Andy Carroll for the same reason. We're waiting for Andy Carroll's first start. It may come in game week 16, but I think he will. He's on the verge of having. He's at that verge of getting that run of games where one of us is going to get him in our teams. I think so. You know, I do this every year with Andy Carroll.
Hull, I was going to say Hull concede a lot of headed goal attempts, and Andy Carroll scores a lot with his head.
Which of us is going to get Andy Carroll this year? Is it going to be you again, Andy?
I would, if Austin hadn't got injured, I was going to keep him for Middlesbrough, and then I was going to get Carroll in this week. So he actually spoiled my plans. And then I thought I can't get Carroll for against Liverpool, so I had to get in the Acho. So that's gone for me for now, but maybe in a few weeks.
He looked very rusty, I think, Carroll. Understandably, he's been out for a while, but I wasn't very impressed with him at the weekend.
No, he is very rusty, but the thing is, he's such a unit that something goes in off him, off one body part or another. No one can handle him. It's just very strange. He's like a special teams player. Very, very, very. I know that he's gonna get a couple of goals, and then I'm gonna look at him again because it happens every year. It's like the Kolarov Victor Moses thing of old. I can't take my eyes off Andy Carroll when he's playing. I always think he's going to do better than he does. And there was that Sheffield captain last year, Andy.
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
Never forgive him for that. Okay, thanks so much, gentlemen. That was a strange one where we were looking back, looking forward, and looking ahead. It was all a bit strange, wasn't it? John,
I was just going to say, shall we tell the viewers and listeners what our plans are for Game Week 17, if we have any yet?
Oh, yes, we've got the captains to do. And while you're doing that, I'm going to look up the cup draw as well.
Okay.
Which is for the weekend, because we're looking forward to Game Week 17 there. So, yes, name your transfers and your captain.
Well, I'll kick it off. I've now got 2 free transfers. I'm not sure what to do. I want to keep all my players for some reason. And so I'm going to look for a bit of value. I'm going to look to use a transfer, if there's no injuries, to do something like Foster to Pickford, Daniels to Ake, something like that.
You're going to get rid of Daniels?
Just something to free up $500,000 or so, which I can do there. And then that gets me in the bank, and then I go into the following game week. So I've constantly got that 2 free transfers. I can't think of either that, or I'll just waste it. I can't think of anything else I'd want to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Andy, your transfers and your captain.
Yeah, so for the week we're currently in, I did Lovren to Jones, and I think for the next week, I don't think I need to really make one. One of the reasons I did Lovren to Jones was to free up a tiny bit more money. So it's another 0.3 million. So I now have 1.3 in the bank. And the reason for that is I don't think I want Chan as a 4th midfielder for any longer than I have to.
Yeah.
I said, I think it was last week or the week before, that you get these cheap midfielders, it doesn't take long until you just want to move them on. So I'll probably keep him and upgrade Kapui. So yeah, I'm looking at how I can get that money, and there's no way I currently like. And then I've got Iheanacho. If he doesn't start, I'm going to be really wanting to get rid of him. I'm actually looking at Benteke. It's just very hard with the fixtures, but I think in 4 game weeks' time, I'm really looking at bringing Benteke in, because he's like 4th for goal attempts. He's always shooting or heading, and Crystal Palace are scoring goals. So yeah, I think I'll probably say even captain will be Kane against Burnley.
Fair enough. And Granville?
I'm going to do what I should have done tonight. I've got 2 transfers now, haven't I?
Okay.
So I'm going to get Toby in. I should have got him in tonight for the game tomorrow against Hull. So 1 week late, I'm going to get him for Burnley, and I'll have another transfer. And I'm looking at getting Sigurdsson. So I could do Snodgrass to Sigurdsson.
Belated Sigurdsson move. Won't let you down, will he?
It's not. I know, but I don't. I wasn't going to do it this week anyway. I don't think. I know he's got West Brom, but I think I've got to get him in at some point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I will be getting rid of John Stones, because he'll be going down in price very soon after the 4-0 drubbing at home to Watford. So I will. He'll be going. It's just a question of, I don't need to get anybody in defence for game week 17. So I'll probably be signing a defender for game week 18. So I probably will go either to Gabriel, or it's looking more likely I'll go to Phil Jones and get him in ready for when I need him. So that'll be my transfer this week. It'll be kind of like a vanity transfer, because I don't need to bring anybody in for that game week, but I'm looking ahead, and Stones will be going down in price, surely going down in price further. So he's got to go. So that'll be my move. My captain will be Kane again. Don't know how he's going to do at home to Hull, but at home to Burnley, I've got to think that I'm going to keep it on him. So that's the way it's going to go. Yeah.
I forgot to mention I'll be captain Kane as well. You have to with that fixture.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at it, how he gets on against the Hull, but I just think great option, isn't he? He just finds a way of scoring goals, like we said. Okay, in the cup, we were following Azelchef, who knocked out previous winner I Can See Us Winning. He then got knocked out by Dilly Dong FC in the last round. So he's now through. He's the team we're following. He was 8,398 in the world, so a high-ranked manager. So we're following him for game week 17 in the last 64 of the cup. So we'll see how he gets on. That will be a wrap-up for this week. John T, Granville and Andy, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week when we'll be a normal game week, a normal Scoutcast, when we'll be just looking ahead to game week 18. It'll be the Christmas edition as well. Should we dress up for the Christmas edition? We've worn suits before now.
We had Christmas jumpers last year. You had a Santa hat and a beard on.
I've got a red jumper. We should maybe get... Yeah, that's right, we did, didn't we? I remember now.
Yeah, Santa hats.
So, white beards and everything. We've got to get the tinsel out. I noticed, Andy, you haven't got the tree out yet. Or have you? Is the camera... Last year you
were a different house. The tree is in a different room now. I might get some tinsel for Shane Long, but that's about it, I think. I missed
the leather sofa in the background as well. I know, Granville, you'll have your decorations up already, I'm sure, but maybe let's deck the halls a bit for next week's Scoutcast. And remember, we used to do presents as well, Granville.
Yeah. Like a sheet, a clean sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm waiting for my Christmas bonus.
Transfers 1 year. Another year, I bought you
a Diego Costa Cup. Do you remember the Costa Cup?
Second team.
Yeah, I know. The irony of that.
You remember that one?
Maybe Diego Costa's what I really need for Christmas.
And you once bought me and I bought you a Moses video, didn't I?
You did. You bought me the 10 Commandments. Yeah. When was it you who actually bought me a clean sheet? You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just absolutely bizarre.
Well, I'd hope it was clean. It was brand new. If it wasn't, then I'd be a bit concerned. The other one you got me, it was Vertigo.
Yeah, and then you unwrapped it. You unwrapped it. That's my favourite ever film.
I know, you didn't even know. So that's my favourite ever film. It's just some joke about me looking down, being dizzy when I look down.
Yeah, you were beating me at that point. So I bought you Vertigo, and then you said that's my favourite. That completely backfired. I wasn't meant to buy you a present that you enjoyed and was pleasant. And yeah, that went completely wrong. We won't do presents this year, but let's just do beards and Christmas jumpers. This is technically a Christmas jumper, but I'll make more of an effort next week. It's a good night for me, gentlemen.
Good night.
Good night for me.
Good night.
Good night all.